Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining me. And today we're going to be talking about the many things that cultured foods can do. Each one of the cultures that I talk about, which is, let's see if I can get this right. Kefir, kombucha, cultured vegetables, the yogurts, which are L-reuteri, L-gaceri, Yogurt Plus, and kefir soda is another one. All of these different culture foods do different things, and I want to tell you what they do, at least a portion of what they do, because they probably do more than I even realize that they do. And I want to give you the health benefits. I want you to understand how powerful each food is. And then you can pick the one that you think that you need the most. Start with that slowly, and then you can go from there. You know, I've done so many studies, read so many studies, done studies on myself, my family, and hands down, fermented foods are staying in my life. They've created such wellness for me that there's no way I'm going back to my previous life. And that was one for me that I had diabetes, high blood pressure, food allergies for my daughter, and IBS. And those are just a few things that we struggled with. And all of those things have gone away and have normalized, and the wellness that we feel is so profound that we've just been doing it for over 21 years. So I want to tell you about this one study that was done that I've mentioned before. It was done in 2021 at Stanford School of Medicine, and it was done on fermented food versus high fiber diets. It has really rocked what scientists thought they knew about foods, and especially fermented foods. What happens was inflammatory proteins decreased in those consuming fermented foods such as yogurt, kefir, fermented vegetables, the vegetable brine, or they actually make drinks out of that, kombucha tea, and even fermented cottage cheese was on the list. And those on the high fiber diets were eating fruits and vegetables, legumes, seeds, whole grains, and nuts. But none of those people eating the high fiber had the 19 anti-inflammatory proteins decrease. Their microbiome diversity, for the most part, stayed the same. It did not increase like the fermented foods group did. And those participants eating fermented foods had 4 types of immune cells that showed less activation. They also had experienced a decrease in the 19 inflammatory protein levels that were measured in blood samples. And one of those proteins, interleukin-6, had been linked to conditions such as rheumatoid arthritis, type 2 diabetes, and chronic stress. Now, myself and my family have all witnessed these effects and more. And since fermented foods have created such wellness for me, I want to show you how you can do this for yourself. So let's start with the first food I started with, which was kefir. It brought huge wellness into my life and to my family. And I'm so thankful for the struggles and the pain that I had that led me to finding kefir, because it's been life-changing in so many ways. Now, kefir is a fermented milk product, and it can be non-dairy or dairy, either way, but it has 50 plus good bacteria and good yeast. And it has so many. I'm going to link in the description. You can go to this article and click on the little box that says view the bacteria. You can see all of the different bacteria and good yeast that are in kefir. And let me explain to you some of the things that kefir may do for you. I've personally experienced these, and I have countless thousands of people tell me the same. And many people have posted on my Lives Touch page where they explain the health benefits they've gotten. And you can go to that link too. I'm going to link that in the description. It's going to be on this whole article. I'm going to do an article to go with this podcast so you can see not only how to make these foods, but what they do, the articles, the research is on all these different things that I'm describing for you. And kefir, let me tell you about the benefits of kefir. Kefir can help lower cholesterol. Kefir may help lower blood pressure in 1 out of 3 people, which happened to me. That was one of the big things that I noticed with kefir from the very get-go. If I had a cup of kefir a day, my blood pressure would drop to the normal levels. And when I wouldn't have it for 3 or 4 days, it would go back up. That's one of the biggest reasons why I kept drinking it. Kefir can have a calming effect on your central nervous system, which I also witnessed. It can detoxify and remove harmful substances. you'll notice that things will exit the body. And in the beginning, you can have one or two things. When you flood your body with all these good bacteria, what can happen is it goes in and starts killing off pathogens. And either that can make you either have loose stools, or it can make you a little constipated as your body is overloaded with pathogens that it's needing to get rid of. So it can take a little bit of time. That may happen in the beginning, but after that, it just really normalizes things. So it does remove harmful substances. So be aware of that in the beginning when you start consuming it, that you might have what they call a healing crisis. And it's very profound because it's something that you really want. Kefir is very anti-inflammatory. That's one of the biggest things I think I noticed for kefir, was that it kept the inflammation down on my body. My joints felt better. I wasn't overreacting to allergy symptoms, pollen. Kefir was fabulous for all of those things. Kefir can also help lower blood sugar. I have seen that with myself. I have seen that with countless people who are really close to me too. Literally can't go without it because it keeps their blood sugar in the normal way in the normal range. And they notice that if they don't have it, that their problems come back. So kefir also helps with acid reflux. That was very pronounced in my husband when we first started drinking kefir, and I saw that. And many, many people who came to my classes expressed that. Kefir feeds bifidobacteria, which is really important. It's one of your most important bacteria and one that will feed all your other bacteria. So you want to keep that strong. Kefir does not have bifido in it, but it feeds bifido. So I have other cultures that have bifido, and we'll get to those in a minute. And I also, again, said something about kefir helping with allergies, which it did a lot. So I have research on all these and stories and extra information, and that will be in the article too that you can link on and look at if you'd like to. Now, let's talk about the cultured foods yogurts. There's gazillions of different types of yogurts. And, I never thought they were as strong as kefir. So I was always a kefir girl, and I never got the benefits from yogurts that I got from kefir. So I wasn't a big fan of yogurts. I liked them, but I wasn't a fan and didn't think that it was something that I needed until I found these very specific strains of yogurts that really changed my life. And making your own yogurt and making these specific strained yogurts is far superior to buying yogurts in the store. You can't even get these strains in the store that I'm talking about. Because often the ones that are in stores sit on these store shelves for a long time. So the probiotics diminish because they don't have as much food. The bacterial counts get lower. And they are also full of additives, fillers, and stabilizers that really aren't good for the body and aren't good for you. And you won't find some of these yogurts I'm talking about in the store. A lot of people are now, these manufacturers are making these yogurts just throwing all different kinds of species in there and everything. And I have very specific species because I want very specific things from these yogurts. And we're like the only people in the market that have it right now. So we have these cultures and you can make your own. And it'll keep remaking from some of your batches. So you don't have to keep buying the cultures all the time. And it works very, very well. And you get super high CFU colony forming units in our yogurts. And they're the specific strains that I've been looking for and couldn't find. So let's talk about that because I want to talk to you about each one of these. Now, the first one is Yogurt Plus. This contains that all-important bifidobacteria, which I think is one of your very most important bacteria. It's the one your mother gave you at birth. It became the predominant, which was like 95% of all the microorganisms in your intestines within a week of birth were bifido. And this Yogurt Plus also contains Streptococcus thermophilus and Lactobacillus debrucii, which is a subspecies of Bulgarian yogurt. They work together very, very well. And they help create a sense of wellness in the body that's hard to get other places. So bifidobacterium, and this is longum, is the one we have, works very well for things like anxiety, depression, behavioral disorders. It decreases the level of harmful bacteria and increases brain-derived neurotropic factors and reduces the level of tumor necrosis factor A in the hippocampus, which is very important, and especially for people who are experiencing a lot of symptoms of depression and anxiety. And bifidobacterium is very, very effective for that. Bifido also, as I said before, feeds all your other bacteria in your gut, makes them stronger, so that keeps out pathogens. It also helps to fill out your gut so that candida can't get a foothold, because it takes up a lot of room. And therefore, candida stays over in the corner where it's supposed to be. That's a harmful yeast that does things for the body, but Bifido helps keep that in check. It also help decrease your insulin, increase your insulin sensitivity, and decrease obesity. It helps to keep you young and active and alive. It also is fabulous for things like IBS or inflammatory bowel disease. It works very well to combat some of the distress that people feel in their bowels, because it takes over the gut, and it helps to feed so many different species that help to, for instance, help heal and seal the gut, which is one of those is Akkermansia, which Bifido and Akkermansia kind of work together to help heal and seal the gut. And you really want lots of Bifido. And I love this product. I've been making it with oat milk, homemade oat milk. And it just takes a little bit to make. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's thick and creamy. And it's loaded with oats that you use oat milk. And that's got a lot of resistant starch in it. And Bifido loves resistant starches, and it will make your Bifido grow like crazy. So it's a very good yogurt, and it really is one of my favorites to make. And it makes fabulous cultured sour cream. Makes the best probiotic sour cream, and you'll stop buying sour cream. It's so good. We love it at our house. It also makes actually, I don't think I've posted this recipe, but I'm gonna. But it also makes like a mascarpone cream that you can use. Like I use it for desserts, and I've been making it. I don't think I posted it, but I'll check. But it's really, really good. And it's something like I use it to top different desserts, scones, things like that I make. And it gives it this fantastic flavor with a little bit of lemon zest and lemon juice and a drizzle of honey. And it makes, oh my gosh, it's so thick and creamy. It's delicious. You will love it. So highly recommend it. Okay, now the next one that is the superstar of them all is Lactobacillus reuteri. And you can't really buy this in the store yet. Nobody really makes this, since this technically isn't really a yogurt, because they only classify real yogurts with certain strains in them. And L. reuteri, they never were able to make L. reuteri because it's difficult to figure out how to make it. But a good colleague of mine, Dr. Davis, figured out how to make L. reuteri yogurt. And he did it by fermenting it for 36 hours and using a prebiotic in it and keeping the temperature very, very low, because L. reuteri likes body temperature. And at the 30th hour, so don't shorten the time, it takes 30 hours at 100 degrees, the L. reuteri skyrockets, like through the roof. And it kind of is like at zero for most of the fermentation until it gets to hour 30. And then it goes crazy and makes all of these CFU, colony-forming units, bacteria units, that are so powerful that gives you a lot of L. reuteri. And every species on the planet is supposed to have L. reuteri. But if you've had an antibiotic, chances are that you don't have L. reuteri anymore. It lives in the epigastrointestinal area. So it really helps with things like if you have SIBO, it's fantastic for eradicating that. And we've seen so many people do that, even just with L. reuteri. We have another yogurt that you can buy it with that makes it even stronger. But we've seen a lot of people get rid of a SIBO just with L. reuteri. We're seeing people with profound sleep, including myself and my family. I've seen a lot of candida go away for people. Feelings of wellness, because it creates oxytocin, increased muscle growth, and much more. So some of the benefits of L. reuteri creates oxytocin. They call it the love hormone. It helps eliminate SIBO and IBS, which is SIBO. I'm assuming everybody knows what that is, but it's small intestinal bacteria overgrowth, which means bacteria has gotten into the upogastro area where it doesn't belong and is creating a ruckus in there. So that we've got the wrong bacteria. A lot of that comes from taking probiotic supplements and them opening up in the wrong places. You should always eat probiotic foods, because that doesn't happen when you do that. And L. reuteri it has like antibiotic qualities, Bacteroideans, I think, and they go in there and they kill those species that don't belong there, and L-reuteri takes over. L-reuteri is very, very strong. They even use it to clean the vats at fermentation places because it's so strong, it'll kill all the other bacteria, which is what it does in your upper gastro area. It kills things that don't belong there, and then it dominates. And you want that because it will help restore deep, restful sleep. You'll have more muscle growth. Your skin will look better. Your hair will look better. Your nails will be harder. I just can't say enough about it. I have a lot of information on the article that shows the research links and even more benefits that I haven't mentioned here that you can receive. I highly recommend L-reuteri superfood yogurt. We have a starter culture for it, and it's really fun. We have a lot of help. We have a lot of FAQs. You'll really, really love L-reuteri. Now, the third yogurt I love is the Lactobacillus gasseri yogurt. It's a very important microbe that lives in the genital, urinary, and digestive system of the body. It also has this special ability to live in the upper gastrointestinal area like L-reuteri, and they go together and they offer specific health benefits that, again, like I said earlier, might help with SIBO. And you can make it, after you make your first batch of L-gasseri and L-reuteri, you make them each separate, then you can take a tablespoon of gasseri, tablespoon of L-reuteri, mix them together and make another batch, what we call SIBO yogurt. And those two you can do over and over again using the yogurts as a culture. And it will make a very powerful yogurt that works very, very well for getting rid of SIBO. It also helps for things like prevention of bacterial vaginitis. It also helps with peptic ulcers. It does work really well for IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, and any kind of inflammatory bowel disease it works very well for. It's naturally residing in the parts of the body where it just keeps things healthy and full of this lactobacillus species that is very strong, that keeps things in balance. There's been a lot of research that says it helps with body weight and reducing fat accumulation. Although I kind of looked at the research, I'm not sure how much I believe that because I see some people say it does, other research says it doesn't. So I'm not going to tell you it does something that it doesn't, but it might. If people start telling me that, I'd be thrilled to know. But it's interesting. The research was a little bit very strong on one side and exactly the opposite on the other research side. So I'll leave that up to you. A lot of people are claiming it does, so I could be wrong, but I just want you to know that I'm a little skeptical about that. Anyway, but it has a lot of other benefits that are surely something that really can help you if you're in need of it. So I have all this article. I have all the recipes for free, and you can get the starter cultures. And it's nice because the starter cultures are nice because you can use them over and over again. Like once you make a batch, you can use that jar to make another batch, and you can use that jar to make another batch. And here's something I want to tell you guys that I finally figured out. L-reuteri and L-gasseri can, because they're fermented for long periods of time to get the high bacterial counts in them, sometimes it can get over fermented and start getting overactive, and it'll separate into whey and curds, which can happen to people. That just means it's kind of gone supersonic. It'll taste very sour. And if it's that means that it's gone really strong. And so you need to back off the prebio a little bit, or the inulin, or whatever you're using to feed it. You still need to feed it, but instead of using 2 tablespoons, use 1 tablespoon. And if it's super active, you can leave it out for the next batch. And then once you get a batch that calms down, you can use that to make another one. But if it's overactive and it's separating whey and curds, that's not bad. It's still good. You can still use it. I use it to make cottage cheese, and I use it as a starter for the next batch. Just use less of the prebio or the inulin or whatever you're using to feed the culture, so it will calm down, and then it will be less sour too. But when you get a batch like that, that just means it's supersonic active, which is good because you're going to get a lot of high CFU counts, but it does mean that it's very overactive. So it's not as pleasant to eat because it's separated. But don't worry. It took me a long time to figure out why I did that, but we think we've got that now because it seems to work really well for everybody if you add less of the prebio on the next batch. And then you can go back to adding the 2 tablespoons, so you keep getting the high counts. But one of the signs of that is when it's super sour. So that just means that it's eating all the food and going crazy in there. So, okay. So enough about those 3 yogurts. Yogurt Plus, L-Reuteri, L-Gasteri. Each of them do different things. Each of them are wonderful. I like them for different reasons. And, you can even just do kefir and get a lot of benefits. Any of these things are fabulous for you. So let's go on to kombucha, which I love. It's a living health drink, and it's made by fermenting tea and sugar with a kombucha culture. It's been around for hundreds of years, and don't worry, the sugar's not for you, it's for the culture. The sugar is consumed by the culture, leaving you with a really delicious tart drink. It can taste something like a sparkling apple cider and champagne, depending on what kind of tea you use, how long you ferment it. But it's an amazing drink, and I absolutely love it. Now, here are some of the benefits of kombucha. The number one thing I think kombucha does is it assists the liver in detoxification, and it does this powerfully. It's got a special probiotic yeast in it that helps your liver. It can help with kidney health because it helps a lot of the toxins in your body get flushed out through your kidneys. So kombucha can also assist that. It can help with allergies and pollutants that are making you sneeze or not making you feel good because it's loaded with B vitamins that help to give your adrenals a boost. Kombucha can help prevent joint damage by supporting the preservation of collagen in your joints. It can help alleviate constipation and diarrhea. And it has a very, very powerful probiotic yeast called S. boulardii, Saccharomyces boulardii, that binds pathogens and removes them. It's amazing how it works. Kombucha has large amounts of B vitamins that help with any kind of adrenal stress, or it just helps your immune system to be strong. It has a very preventive effect on your heart, your weight, your cholesterol, and your blood glucose. And I can't say enough about it. I love it all the time. I love to drink it all the time. It's one of our favorite drinks. We drink a lot of it and have for a long time, but it is a powerful, powerful drink that will replace soda pop in a minute. So the next one I want to talk about is cultured vegetables. And my goodness, how I love them. Just yesterday morning, my stomach was bothering me. I felt kind of nauseous. I didn't know why. And I reached for a spoonful of the juice from cultured vegetables. And just within 20 minutes, I felt right as rain. I felt perfect again. And I didn't want to eat anything for several hours until I had a spoonful of that. And we do this all the time. If ever we have something bothering us, or any kind of stomach distress of any kind, cultured vegetables surpass everything anything else can do. It is fabulous. You should keep a jar in your fridge. You never know when you're going to need it. You'll be so thankful that you did because it helps so much. The superstar bacteria in cultured vegetables is Lactobacillus plantarum, which is extremely hardy. It survives stomach acids with ease and can make the full trip from your mouth to your intestines to your colon to colonize you in a very powerful way. Now, what Lactobacillus plantarum work does is it's a very welcome guest in your body, and it works very strongly for fiercely attacking pathogenic or bad bacteria in your body. It will strengthen your good bacteria, make it grow stronger, and help it to be more resistant to future invasions of pathogens. And it does this by killing the bad bacteria. Now, what it does is it's a transient bacteria, which means it only lasts a few days in the body. So it's important to consume it often. So it starts out, if you have a steady stream of this in your body, it will bind with those pathogens and then take it out when it exits the body. We have 6 strains of bacteria in the fermented vegetables. All of these 6 species of lactic acid producing bacteria are naturally present in fermented vegetables. And here are some of the things that they can do. They will add vitamins and minerals to your cultured food, which most cultured foods do. Like, for instance, the vitamin C that's in cultured vegetables. When you start out with cabbage, you have 70 milligrams. When you ferment it for 6 days, you have 700 milligrams. And it adds more vitamin C. It does all kinds of B vitamins. Most cultured foods do this. It's the amazing, miraculous thing that fermentation does. It can help stomach distress of any kind. It can help with food poisoning. It can help you get over that. I've written articles and done podcasts about that. It's also it's very effective at helping with cancer prevention. I've written a lot of articles on this. There's a lot of research that supports this. It's very effective for things like breast cancer, colon cancer. It's helped a lot of people, and there's quite a bit of research on it that's very, very interesting. And that is linked in this description of article too, if you'd like to take a look at it. It can also strengthen the good bacteria, keep the harmful pathogens at bay, and it has a lot of cholesterol lowering activity in it. Well, and all of these things that I'm stating are things that the Journal of Medicine has credited cultured vegetables with this special lactic acid bacteria and what they can do. It's pretty amazing, and I've literally seen it happen for myself. It is one of the safest and best methods to preserve your vegetables, safer than raw vegetables, and they also have anti-aging properties. And I really think that's due to the high amount of vitamin C and B vitamins in it, and vitamin A. It's very powerful. Now, and all of these things that I'm telling you about, I all have links on how to make them, and it's very easy and it's very fun to make. Pick the one that most interests you. The last one I'm going to talk about is kefir soda, and it is one of my favorites. And we have a new kefir soda starter that is a great way to get bubbly, fizzy drinks without all the sugar or artificial sweeteners, and it has tons and tons of probiotics in it too. Now, cutting-edge cultures handpick these bacteria and good yeast for the starter to make this powerful probiotic drink. And the juices or sugar in the drink that you need to make it with are reduced. We actually tested this by 85%. And that's in a few days, and it gets more so as the days go on. And loads the drink with probiotics, and it also has the powerful probiotic yeast Saccharomyces boulardii, just like kombucha does. It is one of the most researched probiotics on the market, and one that is used in hospitals. It's very, very powerful. We also have bifidolongdum in this kefir soda, just like we do in Yogurt Plus. And we did that on purpose because it's one of the most beneficial members of the human gut microbiome. And lower levels of bifidolongdum has been shown in obese and diabetic individuals and those taking antibiotics. And those suffering from irritable bowel disease or inflammatory bowel disease, they also show low levels of bifido. And it's just becoming across the board, is becoming very obvious that we need lots of bifido. Bifidolongdum can inhibit inflammation by regulating the balance of the immune system, and it does it very, very well. It also helps to improve the intestinal barrier function inside of your gut so that you're not having leaky gut. That's another thing that it does. Now, Saccharomyces boulardii, which I've said before is my favorite probiotic yeast, but one of the great things about this special yeast is that it makes this soda super bubbly, but it also has a lot of health benefits. It can't be killed by antibiotics, which is a great thing if you're, struggling and needing to take some antibiotics. And when S. boulardii is present, it inhibits toxins from binding to intestinal receptors and steals the metabolites it needs to survive. Thus, many pathogens pass out of the body unable to survive in the presence of this very powerful probiotic. They even found that other pathogen strains like E. coli, Salmonella, S. typhi adhere to the surface of S. boulardii, and thus it prevents them from attaching to the mucosal lining of the gut, and then it passes through the body, rendering them harmless because S. boulardii takes it with it when it leaves the body. So there's also a couple of other strains in kefir soda, Lactobacillus dubruckii, which can help the body break down food, absorb nutrients, fight off bad organisms that might cause disease. This special bacteria has been used to aid in digestion, prevent diarrhea, and relieve symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome. It is a very common strain found in many yogurts and foods because it's so powerful. And the other one we have is Leptococcus menestritidis. It can inhibit the growth of pathogens, and it's also been very preventative of the avian flu, or was it the bird flu, and H1N1. It can be very preventative against you getting that because it's so strong. All in all, these are all of the cultures that I love the most. And certainly there's other ones too, but these are the main ones. And this article is going to be super long if I kept going. But these are the most important ones in my mind, the ones that have made the biggest impact on me. And I just wanted you to know what they do, why they're different. They're different from each other. Every single one of them is different, and they all have different benefits. And it's one of the miracles of fermentation and how that keeps us healthy. Foods that are meant to keep us healthy and keep us, our 100 trillion bacteria that live inside of us, fed and alive, growing and thriving. So if you want to check out the article, it tells you more, it tells you how to make them. Everything on there is free. The information, the recipes, you will see everything you need. We have FAQs on all of them if you have problems, and that will help you to understand what's going on. And I keep adding them if I find things that people need help with, but they're not hard to make. It's just new to you. And I can help you make these foods really easily. I love them. They're the foods that I don't just eat cultured foods, but these are the foods that I have on a regular basis. And I have an article about that if you want to take a look at that. Thanks for listening, guys. I hope this helps you, and I hope you will tune in next week, and we will see you next time. Thanks again.